good coffee today. Hey, Russ here. Welcome back to the shop. Okay, today we want to talk about bandsaw boxes, but we're going to focus in on the drawer. And you've seen that on a basic drawer of a bandsaw box. Can you see that up there? Here's the drawer that's cut out. I cut the two side pieces off, and then you cut this out to get your center piece, and then you glue these back on. Bada bing, bada boom, you got a drawer. So, and most bandsaw boxes, that's kind of what they do when they make the drawers. But you can do more than that with a drawer. I showed you this one time. This is made from 4x4 post. And I just took two of them and glued them together to give me a deep drawer. But what we want to pay attention to today is the dividers inside the drawer. Because I divided this up into three sections. But you'll notice that the center section had these little lips on them right here and here. That was designed for a tray to set down in here. Now, why didn't I do the tray? I don't know. This is a box I did a long time ago. And I mean a long time ago. Yeah, 2001. So, this is early on when I was making bandsaw boxes, and for some reason the tray never got made. But it was obvious I was thinking about putting a tray in that because I did do those little lips on it. So anyway, so what we want to do is I'm going to show you how to make a multiple compartment drawer and actually make a little tray from the leftover pieces also that you set down in there. So you can take a little section, a little box, a piece of wood like this, and when you make it into your bandsaw box, it's going to be 4 compartments inside that box. So we're going to be focusing on this here. Now just imagine, I'm going to actually make this into a little container with it open on the top, and all these sections are going to be in it. But it's made in the bandsaw style. And just imagine that if you took this piece of wood here and decided to cut this out and to make all these partitions in it, like here, in here, I could have done it. I could have made multiple divisions in here, compartments, just as easily as making it just one big compartment. So now then, the question is, but how do you do all those cuts? Because you have to plan out your cuts if you're going to do this. You have to figure out your layout on your piece of wood, and I tend to always draw it out on there on the outer piece. Then when I cut it off, if I need to, I can put it back on the inside. You could just as easily do this on the computer, print out the piece, use adhesive and stick it on there and go to town, or put tape on it after you've cut the top piece off. I could put tape across it and draw it all out and measure it out and do it that way to get my cut lines. The more compartments you have, the tighter you're making everything, the more you got to take your time and be very careful that you're not getting off your lines. And I would recommend having lines. When Lois Keener Ventura did her book, which I've talked about, everything I learned came from watching her, reading her book to begin with. It was by far the best bandsaw books out there of any of them that are out there. But she goes into a depth on several examples of how she plans out her cut line. And every box she makes, she shows you how to plan your cut line to be able to get the kind of cuts you're looking for on that box. You have to think about that. So that's what we're focusing on here today, is we're going to draw out on the whiteboard how we're going to make a 4 compartments out of a little tiny block of wood. Now, one thing you're going to keep in mind is this whole project, you can do this with nothing more than a 4x4 post. And you could do it on virtually any bandsaw box out there. Because you're never going to be more than 3.5 inches at any point while you're doing your cuts on it. So the only thing that will restrict you is how long you make this and where's your back pillar on your bandsaw, how much space you have between your blade and that. And that is not, it's not like if you have a 10-inch saw, that doesn't mean that you can only have a 10-inch box. You can actually go up to about an 18-inch wide box on a 10-inch bandsaw if you think it through and know where you're going to do your cuts. Also the direction. And we'll talk about all that when we're more at the bandsaw, about how and what to watch for and how to keep out of trouble when you're trying to cut things out and hitting that pillar on a smaller bandsaw. Now my bandsaw has a 14 inches in between, so it's been pretty nice for me. But I used to make a lot of my bandsaw boxes were very large, and so I was taking advantage of all that. But you don't have to. You can make a very good and a very large bandsaw box and just plan your material out so you can do that. So let me show you how to do all this. Everything we do here is done with 4x4. You could do it with a piece of log or a piece of wood that you laminate together and do it in any way you want. But I'm doing it this to show you how easy it is to take something you can buy at a big box store and turn them into some pretty nice boxes without spending a whole lot of money to do it. So let's talk about these cuts real quick here. I've already been rambling too long. And just for the record, when I get done talking about this, if that's what you're here for, I'll let you know. Because when it's over, we're going to talk about Missy for a couple of minutes too. My new shop dog that I have. Now I have 2 of them. So we want to talk about that a little bit too. So stay tuned if you're interested in hearing that, the ongoing story. We'll do that too. So let's make a 4-compartment box. And here's the scale of the outside of the box. And we want to cut out 2 dividers to give us 3 compartments. Now I'm going to do everything in symmetrically just for the math of it, to make you so you can follow along easy. So let's imagine that this thing is 6 inches across, and now we want to cut, and we cut the front and the back off of the box, so we have just our center block here that we would cut out. And looking at it from the side view here, this is how we want to cut it out. So let's look at what layout we're going to have when we get done. Because instead of having this single tray that sits over the center section only, I think what I'm going to do is make it so the tray slides back and forth and give you access to the outside ones. And then where you get to the middle one would be to lift the tray out. Whereas with this, you have full access here and here. And to get to the middle one, the tray doesn't slide around. We bring this up high enough. You can do it this way. This way that I'm going to show you will be a little easier for if you're pretty new at doing these things or trying to do something new here. I would do it this way first, and once you've accomplished doing the drawer this way, making a tray for it, then you can come back and start making things tighter and smaller. Plan out your cuts so that you can do something like this when you get done too. So let's talk about making the bandsaw box that I'm talking about with a tray that actually slides back and forth. Well, one thing we want to do is we want to be able to have 3 compartments across it. So come over out of 6 inches, let's say, if I come over 2 inches and have a partition here and here, now I have my 3 compartments. So, and if I come in here and I cut out this piece of wood right here first, and save it, we can use that to make the tray. So we want it to go from here to here when we lay that out so that we can do that. So, and when we get done, we're going to have the tray. So the final configuration of this box is going to be like this. You're going to come down to here. We're going to have a little 1/4 inch, 3/8 of an inch lip here, crisp corner, come down, make our curve, and go back up, come back down, make our curve, go back up, come back down, make our curve, come back up, and then come over and up, so that we have a lip here and here, so that when you set your tray on here, it will sit. Want something longer? It will set. When it's setting here on this lip, it's also still sitting on that hair. Then when you slide it over here, this will set here and have this completely open so you have access down through here. So this thing will be able to slide back and forth, always on these 2 pillars while it's in place. And if you need to get here or want to get full access, you just lift the tray out. So that's the way I'm going to make the tray, as opposed to making this tray where it just sets into the center only, and you lift the tray out to get here. So we're going to make a sliding tray. So, but how do we make these cuts to get this here? Well, first off, remember, this piece here that's going to be the tray is going to be only 4 inches long. It has to go from here, so it's still supported here when it comes to the corner, when it's pushed all the way over to the corner here. So the distance of this tray is actually only 4 inches. But we cut out basically a 6-inch, close to a 6-inch piece, and we're going to cut the ends off of it because the bottom of this tray is, if we just cut it straight out, we're actually going to have a curve like this on the bottom of that tray, and we don't want that. We want to make a crisp corner. So to make this cut here, we do it on both sides. But what we have to do is, to make that tray, we're going to come in here, and instead of cutting down there, we're going to come down here like so. Wait a minute. Sorry, I got mixed up. We're going to come down here, and we're going to come down. How are we doing this? Yeah, we want to come down here. It's going to be curved, and cut this out over to here, and curve it, and cut back up so that we're even with this line. So this piece is actually going to get cut out from the length of the piece from here to here. Then we're going to come back, because now we have this tray cut out here. So now our inside piece is going to look like this. And now we want to cut out these 3 little pieces here and our lips that are going to go here. Now our lip has to be further back. So we're going to come in here, make another cut, coming back 3/8 of an inch here, and get this material all moved out so that we have this opening now is like this. This isn't there yet. So then we're going to open this up completely to where that lip is going to go to on both of them. Then we're going to come back in here, and we're going to cut out our 3 partition areas. Now they're going to be evenly spaced here and here. So we're going to come in here and make a cut. After we've cut this little lip in, then we're going to come in from that lip the distance that we want, which is kind of where our original line was cut down. And we're going to come down here and cut this out. Then we're going to come in here, and we're going to cut this one out. Then come in here and cut this one out here. Now remember, we did take away that line, and we recut it further back here, just like we did over here. So then we cut these 3 areas out right here, and that will give us our 3 compartments and our tray area. Then we can take that last piece, that last block, and we can cut that out just like you would any piece, like this. And then we have our tray that would go here. And again, it has to be the length. And we want a crisp corner on the bottom. So we're cutting the ends off the board that were curved. So we have our round piece here, like so. And let me try this one more time. So if we want to cut this piece out of this block of wood, and right now this block of wood actually has these corners curved on them. What we have to do, and this block is just under 6 inches long from here to here. So what we want to do, because the length of this is from this edge here over to this edge. That is the length of this box, because that's where we came down and did that cut. So first thing we want to do is cut this off to 4 inches. So find your center point somewhere in the center and then measure out 2 inches and just cut that off. Just like so, so that the thing is 4 inches long. And now this block of wood will set right in here. It'll, when it's touching over here, it's still barely sitting on this divider right here. Then when you slide it over to where it's against this one, it'll still be setting on this one just on the edge. So, because this is 6 inches in between, and you make it 4 inches long, it'll always set on these two pedestals as it slides back and forth, and it'll stop over here on this little lip when it's in place so that you can reach in and get to either of these two compartments by sliding it. So that's how you do it. And then you make this piece. Once you've cut it down to the size it needs to be, then you can come back and cut this out, maybe with a single divider or maybe with no divider in the middle. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet. Make a single larger compartment right there for this little tray. And that'll give you 4 compartments then in this little tiny box here. So that's the plan. And that's how I'm going to cut this out. We're going to do it on the bandsaw in real time. And we'll go over all the cuts as we do it. So you have to pay attention to how I do this. But remember, you're making your first cut right here to cut this piece out that is going to be your tray. And you come down here and you cut it out right here and go back up. And once you cut that block out, then you mold this lip in here on both edges and scoop these out to give you your 3 compartments here and your little lip. Then you can come back and reshape that box to the right length, and then you can work on cutting out the inside of this to make this a little tray without any problem. So, and that's how you do it. So that's how you make a box. Now that I've explained that to you, if you have any questions, any comments, this is the box we're going to make. If you want to make this box, if I get enough response, maybe we'll make a second one and do it this way. As it stands, if you do this one and you do it and you're comfortable when you get done and knowing how to do it, you'll be able to figure out how to go from that to something like this without any problem, where the tray just fits in there. Because making these corners fit is the trick to it. And I probably would use these and they would be curved if I was doing it this way, rather than being a nice crisp corner like I'm doing here. So, stay tuned. We're going to do this in the next video, and I'm going to do this pretty quick, so probably in 2 days. So if you have anything on here that you have questions, or if you need to know anything else, or if you really want to do it this way, if I get enough response, I'll do it this way instead of this. This is what we'll probably do, though. So, next 2 days, you can talk me out of it, maybe. So that's how you do it. That's how you make the box. I want to thank you for coming by. Let's talk about Missy real quick because I'm running out of time. Missy is doing wonderful. Annie is a big, big help. She's using the pee pads. We bought some pee pads. She's using those most of the time right now. She does get outside a lot. She's going through the doggy door on her own. But she doesn't go through there often unless I'm encouraging her to do it. With the exception that when I bring them both out here in the shop and they're out here playing for a while, she gets tired of being here. She wants to go back in the house. She can go out this one and goes in and goes back in on that one. So she goes from here to there. I've never seen her go from there to here. She doesn't seem to want to go outside much, which is the biggest problem we have with her. That makes it hard to train her, to housebreak her, because she doesn't want to go out there to do anything unless I encourage everybody. And what we've been doing is we off and on, either you know who or I. There goes my furnace. I had a comment about that. That is my furnace. It's not really a foghorn, of course. But right now, that noise is because the heat exchanger on this furnace, it's a gas furnace overhead with a fan on the back to blow through the heat exchanger. That heat exchanger is heating up right now. Eventually, when the fan comes on, by the time the fan comes on and it's fully warmed up, the noise goes away completely, and it'll go away here in the next few seconds. And then the fan will kick on, and that'll be it. The noise is quit, and now the fan should be kicking on any second. So, there it goes. So, that's been the way it works, and I don't know why it makes that humming sound. It's done it since I moved in here 10 years ago, so it's not seemed to be affecting anything. Everything works fine, other than that noise. So, anyway, if you know what that is, let me know, because I sure can't figure it out. But it's during the stage of time when it's heating up that heat exchanger. Anyway, so much for answering that question. I have actually I noticed that dog, the little dog, Missy, sticks on Annie's heels. And she follows her everywhere now, especially when we go outside. So I've been either you know who or I've been every hour we try to get them to go outside for a few minutes. And during that time, she'll do her duty, and I'll praise her for it. But sometimes she still goes in the house. And so, but she does seem to stick to the pee pads now more than ever. So it's getting there. She is learning, and Annie's been such a big help to go outside and go pee, and she's following her, watching her. And Annie knows she's doing that. She sometimes will get her to help her to go out the door. At first few days, when I open the back door and try to get them out, Missy doesn't like the cold. So she did not want to go out. And it was like 5 degrees out there a lot of times. We had some very cold weather in the last week. So, and Annie would help encourage her to go out. And we finally got her now where they both go out the door, and they seem to be excited to go out whenever I say, let's go outside. So, little by little, she's learning to do what she's supposed to. And I think eventually she will get there. We had a little problem with our shoes, because we kept our shoes by the side door where we go in and out of the house. And guess who would probably take those and drag them all over the house and play with them. She never chewed one up totally, damaged it, but she was dragging them out. So I had tried to break her of that. And that took a little bit of doing to do that. But I think we finally, she doesn't bother the shoes anymore. But she still does drag things around the house. She has a little pillow, one of several pillows we have in the house for the dogs. She likes that little one that we have. She drags that thing all over, and I have to take and put it back. And I haven't been able to break her of dragging that bed around, but we'll see. She is a little joy to have around. She's a lot of fun to watch, and the stories I could tell you all day long about them. So, but we don't have time here. I did want to bring this to you. If you have any questions about Missy or anything, Stan, I hope this answers your question. We're coming along. It looks very hopeful that she's going to be well trained and pretty much be a great replacement for Annie when she passes away. And right now, they seem to really be enjoying themselves. Annie is starting to play with her. They hang out in the same room together now more than they ever used to. Annie used to leave the room whenever she came in the room. And she now, they're actually, I've seen them playing together. So it's coming around little by little. If you have any questions, any comments, leave them down below. I read them all. Any suggestions, they're always appreciated. If you like this video, you learned something here, hit that like button. Stay tuned. We're still going to get this done. And we're going to have to do at least one more episode of this. And we're going to get into the flocking after that. So you're going to learn some things about flocking you didn't know. So thanks for coming by. But most importantly, please come back again because I'm nowhere near done. Thanks, guys. And we'll see you all again soon.